A local brewer is asking state lawmakers to get serious as they try to figure out how to use tax revenue on alcohol production in Oregon more responsibly. And this comes after prior attempts to raise taxes on alcohol production were rejected as both sides of this issue try to solve two different crises at the same time: business recovery from the pandemic and alcohol addiction in Oregon. KEZI 9 News reporter Aaron Ariano spoke with two different task force members on each side of the issue.
In the last hour, you met Aaron Sarnoff-Wood. He is the co-founder of Two Town Cider House in Corvallis. He recently told members of a task force that is taxing alcohol that they're looking at the wrong problems and even the wrong solutions when it comes to using alcohol tax revenue to fund addiction services in the state of Oregon.
And what they're looking at, he says, ways to raise money to fund alcohol addiction services in Oregon. They tried doing that by proposing steep taxes on alcohol production.
It was House Bill 3312, and that was a prior attempt to increase beer and wine taxes, and it was a 1,500% increase to taxes. That was the proposal. And as I looked at the numbers, that tax would have been larger than my company's total profit for the year, which, obviously would have put me out of business.
He told fellow task force members on Thursday the data being used to determine higher taxes is wrong because he says two different methodologies were used which spiked the data. He said the task force should be looking at clearer ways to fund addiction services based on accurate data.
The data is complicated, it's nuanced, and it is very boring. And so I find that a lot of people really aren't spending a lot of time and just taking the conclusions.
Solara Salazar runs Cielo Treatment Center in Portland. She's also on the task force. She says despite data being mixed up years ago, there's no time to waste and addiction services need funding now.
We can do a million studies and we can say that it's flawed data, but my phone line ringing off the hook of people begging for help, parents begging for treatment for their kids, crying they don't understand why there's no services.
Although both Solara and Aaron sympathize with each other's issues, knowing the alcohol industry is still trying to bounce back from the pandemic, Solara says a compromise needs to be met sooner than later. All of this to improve alcohol addiction treatment all across the state.
I sincerely hope that we can come together and that we can both concede on either side. I would love to see a fair deal. Maybe that first ask was too high. Maybe the industry is really struggling right now, and so a lower tax would be acceptable, and then maybe it could be raised when the industry is doing better.
The task force has until September to make recommendations to Governor Tina Kotek. Where the task force currently stands after hearing Aaron's presentation, you'll hear that coming up at 6 o'clock. For now, reporting in the studio, Aaron Ariano, KEZI 9 News.